Okay, students, let's continue from where we stopped just now on continuous and discontinuous variation. We are now going to look at the genetic factor. We all know that the main reason why both continuous and discontinuous variation occurs in the first place is due to genetic variation. So let us now explore the sources of genetic variation. That means what brings about genetic variation? Genetic variation occurs due to what? All right. So we are going to more go into the biological processes that are involved that causes the genetic variation. So sources of genetic variation. All right. Sources of genetic variation. Sources of genetic variation. So let us use our creative and analytical thinking. Huh? So what do you think? What do you think are the sources of genetic variation? Why genetic variation occurs? Why there is variation among individuals of the same species, among individuals of different species? Why? So when you say genetic variation, what comes to your mind? All right. So when it comes to genetic variation, cell division should come to your mind. More accurately, the nuclear division should come to your mind. All right. So if you look at the nuclear division, there are two types of nuclear division: mitosis and meiosis. So let's narrow down our variation to humans. We do not want to look at plants and other organisms. We are looking at the human beings. So let's stick to that variation in human beings. So the nuclear division we are talking about, let's now analyze that. Okay, we have one end mitosis, the other end we have meiosis. So is the variation due to the mitosis process or meiosis process or both? So what's your take? Use your thinking and tell me. Could it be mitosis? Or could it be meiosis? So you said meiosis. Why not mitosis? Why is it meiosis and not mitosis? Okay, let me give you a motivation. Your answer is correct. Meiosis is right. But why meiosis and not mitosis? Very good. Because mitosis, we all know. There are several ways to look at it. One aspect, very good, Harry. You brought up the point. Mitosis produces genetically identical cells. So mitosis does not give variation because we already know by definition mitosis produces genetically identical cell. Number two, mitosis process is for growth, whereas variation is between the offspring, all right? The variation is between the parent and the offspring, with variation between offsprings. Therefore, it involves reproduction. Variation involves reproduction. Genetic variation is due to sources during the reproduction, involving the reproduction process. So it has to be meiosis because meiosis is involved in the reproduction process, mainly in the gamete formation. All right. So one of the biggest sources is meiosis. All right. The meiosis process. All right. What about is there any other sources of genetic variation? Another important source of variation is the fertilization process. Now, fertilization process. See, in the reproduction, gametes are important. All right, the male gamete fuses with the female gamete to form the zygote. All right, the gametes are important. That means the gametes must be genetically different. So when the gametes are genetically different, definitely the zygote will be genetically different. So meiosis is mainly for gamete formation. Gamete formation. So look at your analytical power. You analyze like that. You study like that. Now, what about fertilization? Fertilization is the fusion of the male gamete with the female gamete. This fusion can occur randomly. That means can involve any male gamete with a female gamete. That is any male gamete. So since I've narrowed down to the humans, there are millions of sperms. Any sperm, any one of the sperm, which are all genetically different, can fertilize or have the opportunity to fertilize a single female ovum. All right, they have. So because of its randomness, pure probability, that is another reason that can give you genetic variation. All right, but is it only limited to these two? See, there are other factors. All right, another one is mutation. All right, so mutation could alter the gene. All right, mutation, that means the gamete or the gene in the gamete could be altered due to mutation. So when the gene is altered, all right, and the gamete is altered, definitely that it will cause genetic variation. So mutation is also one of the sources. All right, these are natural sources. All right, these are the natural sources. And you also have the environment coming in. Environment will be more of the selection process. Environment will be more of the selection process. Okay, so at the moment, we are going to leave out mutation. All right, we are going to leave out selection. We are now going to focus on meiosis. So the next question is, which is important, is where or at which stage, at which phase, all right, stage, phase of the meiosis process, all right, does variation occur? All right, so let's now focus. You have meiosis 1, you have meiosis 2. Both the variation in meiosis is due to stage 1, is due to meiosis 1. All right, in meiosis 1, you have the prophase 1, you have the anaphase 1, you have the metaphase, telophase, and so on. So since you have these 4 phases, you now got to identify which phase. The answer is prophase 1 and anaphase 1. Now, what happens during prophase 1? What happens during anaphase 1? So, during prophase 1, this occurs. Crossing over occurs in homologous pairs. So, when crossing over occurs in homologous pairs, genetic exchange takes place. So genetic exchange takes place, that itself causes the gametes that are formed to be different. Okay, takes place. All right, that is one. All right, then in anaphase 1, what happens in anaphase 1? Anaphase 1 says that one chromosome of a homologous pair can combine randomly with any combination with chromosomes of other homologous pair. That is another source of genetic variation. So chromosomes, here is one chromosome of one homologous chromosome pair. I just put in short, homologous pair can combine. I will put okay, can combine or can combine randomly, can combine randomly with other chromosomes in any combination. Sorry, I'm going to put other chromosomes of other homologous pairs. Other homologous pairs in any combination. In any combination. So I put in short form. Okay. All right. Now, during fertilization, as I mentioned, it's a random fusion or combination of a male gamete with a female gamete. These are the main sources of genetic variation. Besides that, mutation is another important source. And don't forget, the environment is basically the selection process, all right, exerted by the environment. We call it the selection pressure. You can also attribute to hybridization. Hybridization is the crossbreeding. That means organisms of one species can interbreed with organisms of other species. This can be artificially done. So we call artificial breeding and so on. All that can lead to what we call variation, like Piscifera, all right? I mean, the species in the, what you call oil palm trees, all right? How they combine to obtain a hybrid, all that are part and parcel of genetic mutation.